Can you smell the cinnamon and nutmeg wafting from your grandmother's kitchen on Christmas morning? The holidays once meant mysterious recipes passed down through whispered instructions and handwritten cards tucked in recipe boxes. Today, we're exploring 25 forgotten Christmas dishes that defined the season for generations before convenience foods took over our holiday tables. Let's start with sugar plums. Yes, those sugar plums that danced in children's heads weren't actually plums at all. These jewel-like confections were hand-rolled balls of dried fruits, nuts, and warm spices that took hours to prepare properly. Your grandmother would start with dates, figs, and apricots, grinding them by hand with almonds or walnuts until they formed a sticky paste. She'd work in honey, orange zest, and a careful blend of cinnamon, cardamom, and nutmeg. Each piece was rolled between her palms, then dusted with fine sugar or dipped in melted chocolate. The name came from the oval shape that resembled small plums, and the word sugar simply meant something sweet and precious. Victorian families would pile these in crystal dishes for special occasions, rationing them carefully since the ingredients were expensive. Making sugar plums was a December tradition that brought families together, with children helping to roll while adults told stories. They'd store them in tin boxes lined with wax paper where they'd keep for weeks, actually improving as the flavors melded. Today's energy balls are distant cousins, but they lack the ceremonial importance and careful spicing that made true sugar plums a Christmas treasure. Tom and Jerry. This wasn't a cartoon cocktail, but a serious Christmas morning tradition that warmed homes from the 1820s through the 1960s. The recipe started with a batter that required real muscle to prepare, dozens of egg whites beaten to stiff peaks, then folded with egg yolks that had been creamed with sugar and spices until pale yellow. Your grandfather would add dark rum and cognac to the batter, creating a base that could sit in the icebox for days. On Christmas morning, he'd spoon this thick mixture into mugs, then top it with hot milk or water, creating a frothy, warming drink that was part eggnog, part hot toddy. The drink originated in London but became an American institution, especially in the Midwest, where German immigrants embraced it. President Warren Harding served Tom and Jerry's at his White House Christmas parties. Every family had their secret. Some added vanilla extract, others insisted on fresh grated nutmeg on top. Bartenders would prepare batches that lasted through New Year's Eve. The drink disappeared as convenience culture took over, too labor-intensive for modern celebrations. Those fancy Tom and Jerry bowl sets you see in antique shops. They once graced every proper household's holiday spread. Green tomato mincemeat pie, born from Depression-era ingenuity, this pie transformed garden leftovers into Christmas magic. When meat was scarce and imported currants too expensive, clever cooks discovered that green tomatoes could mimic the texture and tartness of traditional mincemeat. They'd chop pounds of green tomatoes fine, mixing them with apples, raisins, and whatever sweet or butter they could spare. The mixture simmered for hours with brown sugar, vinegar, and a heavy hand of spices, cinnamon, cloves, allspice, and nutmeg. Some added a splash of whiskey or brandy if they had it. The filling aged in crocks for weeks, developing complex flavors that fooled even skeptical relatives. Wrapped in flaky lard-based pastry, these pies became a point of pride for resourceful homemakers. The recipe spread through church cookbooks and quilting bees, each woman adding her twist. Some used green tomato mincemeat for cookies and cakes too. It remained popular through the 1950s in rural communities where nothing went to waste. Modern gardeners occasionally rediscover this recipe, amazed that something so humble could taste so festive. The tradition reminds us that holiday magic often came from making do with what you had, not what you wished for. Divinity candy. This cloud-like confection required perfect weather to succeed. Too humid, and it would never set. Too dry, and it would crack. Southern grandmothers would check the humidity before even attempting Divinity, a candy that demanded precision and patience. The process started with a sugar syrup boiled to exactly 260 degrees, not a degree more or less. Meanwhile, egg whites were beaten to glossy peaks in a separate bowl. The hot syrup had to be drizzled in a thin stream while beating constantly, a two-person job that brought families together in the kitchen. The mixture transformed into a glossy white mass that looked like edible snow. Pecans or walnuts were folded in at the last moment. Then the race began to drop spoonfuls onto waxed paper before it set. The name Divinity came from its heavenly appearance and angel food texture. Every Southern family had their variation. Some added vanilla, others almond extract, and progressive cooks might tint it pink or green for Christmas. The candy stored in tins between layers of wax paper, a special treat brought out for company. Modern candy thermometers and stand mixers made it easier, but many recipes still failed. Today's marshmallow-based Divinity bears little resemblance to the temperamental original that marked a cook's skill. Potato candy pinwheels. This Pennsylvania Dutch Christmas secret sounds impossible until you've tasted it. Candy made from leftover mashed potatoes. The tradition came from German immigrants who knew how to stretch every ingredient. A single medium potato, mashed while still warm, could absorb up to 2 pounds of powdered sugar, creating a pliable dough that rolled out like pie crust. The transformation seemed like kitchen magic to watching children. Once rolled thin, the sheet was spread with peanut butter, creamy, never chunky, then rolled into a tight log and chilled until firm. Slicing revealed perfect pinwheel spirals of white and tan. The candy was sweet enough to make your teeth ache, which was exactly the point during the Depression when sugar meant celebration. Some families added vanilla or almond extract to the dough, others experimented with chocolate spread instead of peanut butter. The candies were wrapped individually in wax paper and hidden until Christmas Eve. Making potato candy became a grandmother-to-grandchild tradition, a way to pass down both recipes and stories. The recipe survived in Appalachian communities and Pennsylvania coal towns long after prosperity returned. Modern versions sometimes add cream cheese for stability, but purists insist that ruins the authentic texture that made this humble candy special. Christmas plum pudding. The making of proper plum pudding began on Stir-Up Sunday, 5 weeks before Christmas, when every family member took a turn stirring the mixture while making a wish. This wasn't the doorstop fruitcake Americans joke about, but a complex steamed pudding that represented British Christmas tradition at its finest. The ingredients list read like a medieval shopping list: sweet breadcrumbs, flour, brown sugar, eggs, brandy, and a pound each of currants, raisins, and sultanas. Candied peel, almonds, and spices went in too, creating a mixture so heavy the wooden spoon would stand upright. The pudding steamed for 8 hours initially, then again on Christmas Day, filling homes with spiced steam. Hidden inside were silver coins or charms, bringing luck to whoever found them. The dramatic presentation involved dousing with brandy and setting it ablaze, carried to the table wreathed in blue flames. Every family guarded their recipe. Some added grated carrot for moisture. Others insisted on dark beer instead of brandy. The puddings actually improved with age. Victorian families made them a year ahead. Served with brandy butter or hard sauce, one pudding could feed 20 people. By the 1970s, few Americans had the patience for this day-long production. Brandy hard sauce. This wasn't really a sauce at all, but a flavored butter so rich it would make modern health-conscious cooks faint. The preparation required creaming butter until it was white as snow, then gradually beating in powdered sugar until the mixture could hold peaks like frosting. The transformation took serious arm strength before electric mixers. Then came the brandy, added drop by drop while beating constantly, enough to flavor, but not enough to break the emulsion. Some cooks added vanilla or almond extract, others a pinch of nutmeg. The mixture was packed into butter molds or shaped into a log and chilled until firm. Served cold atop hot plum pudding or mince pie, it would melt into creamy rivers, the alcohol providing a warming finish. Proper hard sauce was a mark of prosperity. Butter, sugar, and good brandy weren't cheap. Temperance families made hard sauce with vanilla instead of brandy, fooling no one. The sauce would keep for weeks in the icebox, ready for unexpected company. Some households made rum hard sauce for rum cake, whiskey hard sauce for bread pudding. Each spirit created a different flavor profile. Today's dessert sauces are pourable and convenient, but they lack the richness and ceremony of watching hard sauce slowly melt into hot pudding. Feffernonesa cookies. These pepper nuts were so hard when first baked that German bakers recommended aging them for weeks before eating. The dough contained a medieval blend of spices: white pepper, black pepper, anise, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg, creating a heat that had nothing to do with temperature. Mixed with honey and molasses, the dough was so stiff it required kneading like bread. Bakers rolled tiny balls no bigger than hazelnuts, each one perfectly round. The cookies, baked hard as marbles, then went into tins with apple slices or bread to soften slowly. By Christmas, they'd reached the perfect texture, crisp outside, slightly chewy inside. Every Germanic region had its version: Dutch Peppernoten, Danish Pepernoter, German Pfeffernusse. Some were rolled in powdered sugar, others glazed with rum icing. The cookies traveled well, making them perfect for sending to relatives or soldiers overseas. Children would suck on them like hard candy, the spices warming their mouths. Making Pfeffernusse was often a guild secret, with professional bakers protecting their spice proportions. The tradition of hiding them until Christmas taught patience and anticipation. Modern recipes often reduce the aging time and spice intensity, creating softer cookies that miss the point entirely. Moravian spice cookies. No Christmas cookie demanded more skill than these paper-thin wafers from the Moravian settlements of North Carolina and Pennsylvania. The dough, heavy with molasses and lard, had to rest overnight before rolling. Then came the real challenge: rolling it thin enough to read through, a thickness modern bakers can barely imagine achieving. Old-timers claimed you should be able to read a newspaper through properly rolled Moravian cookie dough. The spice blend included ginger, cinnamon, cloves, and sometimes anise, creating a complex flavor in such a delicate cookie. Cut into stars, angels, and animals with tin cutters passed down through generations, they baked in minutes, requiring constant vigilance. One moment too long, and they'd burn. Too short, and they'd be chewy instead of crisp. Moravian churches made thousands for their Christmas love feasts, each cookie a testament to patience and tradition. The cookies stored in tins for months, actually improving as the spices mellowed. Some families had cutters dating back to the 1700s, their shapes worn smooth from generations of use. Professional Moravian bakers still make them the traditional way, but home cooks often give up, intimidated by the skill required. The cookies represent a devotion to craftsmanship that modern convenience cooking abandoned. Rumballs. Before no-bake cookies became a supermarket magazine staple, rumballs were the sophisticated answer to using leftover cake and cookies. The base started with vanilla wafers or cake crumbs, crushed fine and mixed with cocoa powder and confectioner's sugar. Corn syrup bound it together, but the real magic was the rum, dark rum, and plenty of it. The mixture needed to rest overnight for the alcohol to mellow and the flavors to meld. Rolling them required the perfect texture. Too wet and they'd fall apart, too dry and they'd crack. Each ball was rolled in sugar, cocoa, or finely chopped nuts. The alcohol content meant these were adult treats, hidden away from children. Every country club and church auxiliary had their champion rumball maker, usually an elderly lady who wasn't shy about the rum measurement. Some added coffee for depth, others orange zest for brightness. The balls improved with age, kept in tins in cool pantries where the rum would continue to mature the flavors. They appeared at every holiday party, arranged on doily-lined plates. Making them became a December tradition, often accompanied by sampling the rum for quality. Modern versions often reduce the alcohol or use rum extract, missing the warm buzz that made these treats special. These represented holiday indulgence when a little naughtiness was permitted. Ambrosia salad. This food of the gods started as an elegant Victorian dessert before morphing into the marshmallow-studded potluck dish we mock today. The original contained just oranges, coconut, and sugar, nothing more. Fresh oranges were expensive winter luxuries, shipped from Florida in wooden crates. Fresh coconut required cracking, draining, and grating by hand. Preparing ambrosia was a Christmas Eve ritual, with children sectioning oranges, while adults dealt with the coconut. The fruit was layered in glass bowls, each layer sparkling with sugar, then chilled overnight. The juice mingled with coconut milk and sugar to create a natural syrup. Served in crystal dishes with silver spoons, it was refreshing after heavy holiday meals. Southern families added their touches. Some included pineapple when it became available, others added pecans. The addition of marshmallows and canned fruit came later, during the convenience food era. Some versions included sour cream or Cool Whip, transforming it beyond recognition. But the original ambrosia was pure and simple, celebrating rare ingredients at their peak. Making it properly required patience. Each orange section had to be perfectly cleaned of pith. The tradition connected families to a time when citrus at Christmas was miraculous, not mundane. Which of these forgotten recipes brings back your own holiday memories? Ribbon gelatin salad, the layered jello. Masterpiece took 3 days to complete, each stripe requiring hours to set properly before adding the next. This wasn't thrown-together jello, but an architectural achievement that proved a hostess's dedication. The clear layers used unflavored gelatin with fruit juices, cranberry, lime, lemon, while creamy layers combined gelatin with sour cream or cream cheese. Each layer had to be completely firm but not too cold, or the next layer wouldn't adhere. The temperature of each new layer was crucial. Too hot and it would melt the layer below, too cool and it would set before pouring level. Women timed their cooking around this molded centerpiece. Some versions had 7 layers representing abundance, others spelled out seasonal messages in suspended fruit. The unmolding moment was high drama, a hot towel around the mold, a prayer, then the flip onto the serving plate. Success brought gasps of admiration. Failure meant starting over. Every woman had her signature combination, red and green for Christmas, with nuts and fruit suspended like stained glass. The salads photographed beautifully for magazines, driving competitive home cooks to greater heights. Modern busy schedules killed this tradition, but vintage cookbooks still feature these gelatin monuments to patience and precision. Cranberry orange relish. Long before ocean spray convinced us cranberry sauce should slide from a can, every family had their raw relish recipe ground fresh on Thanksgiving morning. The hand-cranked grinder would clamp to the kitchen table, and bags of fresh cranberries would go through with whole oranges, peel, pith, and all. The bitter pith balanced the tart cranberries, while orange oil from the zest added brightness. Sugar went in last, just enough to take the edge off. The mixture needed to rest overnight, letting the flavors marry and the sugar dissolve completely. No cooking meant the vitamins stayed intact, important during winter months. Some families added apples for sweetness, others walnuts for crunch. Progressive cooks might add a splash of Grand Marnier. The relish lasted weeks in the refrigerator, actually improving as it aged. Children fought over who got to turn the grinder handle, cranberries popping and spraying red juice. The sound and smell became part of holiday memory. Every region had variations. New Englanders kept it simple, Southerners added pecans, Midwesterners might include celery. The texture was crucial, too fine, and it became mush, too coarse, and the flavors wouldn't meld. This fresh relish made turkey sandwiches special for weeks after the holiday. Oyster stew. Christmas Eve meant oyster stew in households from Baltimore to San Francisco, a tradition that baffled children but delighted adults. Fresh oysters were rushed inland on ice, a winter luxury before refrigeration made seafood common. The preparation was deceptively simple. Butter melted in a pot, oysters added with their liquor, then whole milk, or cream, heated just until the oyster edges curled. Overcooked by 30 seconds and the oysters turned to rubber. The seasoning was minimal: salt, white pepper, maybe a dash of Worcestershire. Some added celery or onion, but purists considered that heresy. Served with oyster crackers and butter floating on top, it was elegant poverty food, stretching expensive oysters to feed a family. The tradition came from Irish and Italian Catholics who couldn't eat meat on Christmas Eve. Working-class families in port cities considered it their one fancy meal of the year. Every coastal region claimed the best oysters: Chesapeake, Blue Points, Olympias. Eating oyster stew required acquired taste and proper technique. You sipped the broth first, saving oysters for last. The tradition died as Catholics relaxed fasting rules and oysters became expensive. Modern safety concerns about raw shellfish finished it off. But older folks still remember that Christmas Eve anticipation, waiting for the milkman to deliver cream and father to return with the oysters. Lefty. Norwegian grandmothers rolled this potato flatbread thinner than paper, a skill that took years to master. The dough started with riced potatoes, never mashed, which would make it gummy, mixed with flour, butter, and cream while still warm. The mixture rested overnight, developing the perfect texture. Rolling required a grooved pin and a special board, both handed down through generations. The technique involved quick, light strokes from the center out, rotating constantly. Too much pressure and it would stick, too little and it wouldn't thin properly. Each round had to be perfect, no tears, even thickness throughout. Cooking happened on a dry griddle so hot it would singe fingers, the lefty blistering with brown spots in seconds. The finished rounds were stacked between dish towels to stay soft. Eating lefty was ceremony, spread with butter, sprinkled with sugar, maybe a touch of cinnamon, then rolled into a cylinder. Some added lingonberries or lutefisk for Christmas dinner. Every Norwegian settlement from Minnesota to Washington had lefse-making bees where women gathered to make hundreds of rounds. Churches sold it as fundraisers. The tradition required Minnesota potatoes, claimed to be superior for lefty. Modern Norwegian Americans buy it from specialty bakeries, the skill too demanding for casual cooks. Stollen. This German Christmas bread took 3 days to make properly, each step precisely timed according to tradition. The dough began with a sponge of yeast, flour, and milk that bubbled overnight. Next morning brought the adding of eggs, butter, and more flour. So much butter the dough was nearly brioche rich. Then came the fruits, soaked in rum for weeks: candied orange and lemon peel, citron, raisins, currants. The marzipan log hidden in the center represented the Christ child wrapped in swaddling clothes. After the first rise, the dough was shaped into an oval, folded, not quite in half, creating stollen's distinctive form. The second rise happened slowly in a cool spot. Baking required exact temperature, too hot and the outside burned before the inside cooked. Fresh from the oven, the loaves were brushed with melted butter, then again and again, 3 coats minimum. Finally, they disappeared under drifts of powdered sugar, applied repeatedly over days. German bakers aged stollen for weeks, the flavors mellowing and deepening. Each region had its variation. Dresden stollen was the gold standard, protected by law. Real stollen was dense and rich, nothing like the dry, mass-produced version sold today. Families ordered from German bakeries months in advance or spent December weekends making their own. Aged fruitcake. Before fruitcake became a punchline, it was a serious undertaking that started in September for Christmas eating. The fruit preparation alone took days, candying orange and lemon peel, soaking currants and raisins in brandy, blanching and chopping almonds and walnuts. The batter was so thick with fruit and nuts, there was barely enough to bind it. Dark molasses, brown sugar, and strong coffee created deep color and complex flavor. Spices were measured carefully. Too much, and it overpowered. Too little, and it was bland. The cakes baked low and slow for hours, the kitchen windows steaming. Once cooled, the real work began. Weekly brandy baths, brushed on with cheesecloth, then wrapped tightly again. Stored in tins in cool basements, they aged like wine. By Christmas, the alcohol had mellowed, the flavors married into something extraordinary. Every family had their secret. Some added chocolate, others crystallized ginger. Weight mattered. A proper fruitcake was heavy as a brick, dense with quality ingredients. These cakes would last years if kept properly wrapped and fed with brandy. Ships carried them around the world. They survived tropical heat and Arctic cold. Modern light fruitcakes miss the point entirely. This was preservation, cooking at its finest, creating something that improved with age. Gingerbread steamed pudding. This wasn't the flat gingerbread we know, but a molasses dark pudding that steamed for hours in a water bath. The batter combined molasses, brown sugar, butter, eggs, and enough ginger to make your eyes water. Some recipes called for coffee instead of water, intensifying the deep flavors. The mixture went into a buttered mold with a tight-fitting lid, then into a pot of simmering water that came halfway up the sides. For 3 hours, it steamed away, filling the kitchen with spice-scented moisture that fogged windows. The pudding emerged glossy and nearly black, dense but tender. Served hot with lemon sauce, butter, sugar, and fresh lemon juice cooked just until thickened, it was winter comfort perfected. New England families served it every Sunday from Thanksgiving to New Year's. The leftover pudding could be sliced and fried in butter for Oyster breakfast. Some versions included chopped crystallized ginger or dates. The cooking method came from British traditions but evolved into something uniquely American. Making steamed pudding required the right equipment, a pudding mold with a center tube for even cooking. Modern instant versions using cake mix and applesauce bear no resemblance to this hours-long labor of love that warmed houses and hearts through long winter afternoons. Share your favorite Christmas food memory in the comments. Which of these 25 forgotten recipes did your family make? Spiced pickled peaches. These jewel-toned preserves started with hard, slightly underripe peaches that could withstand the pickling process without falling apart. The syrup was a careful balance of vinegar, sugar, and spices. Whole cloves studded into each peach, cinnamon sticks, and allspice berries in the jar. The peaches were blanched and peeled, a tedious job that left fingers stained and wrinkled. Packed into jars with the hot syrup, they processed in a boiling water bath until sealed. Then came the waiting, at least a month before opening, better after 3. By Christmas, they'd transformed into translucent orbs that were sweet, tart, and warmly spiced. Served alongside ham or turkey, they cut through rich flavors perfectly. Southern hostesses displayed them in cut glass dishes, the syrup pooling like liquid amber. Every woman had her ratio. Some preferred more vinegar tang, others more sweetness. Variations included pickled pears, plums, or watermelon rind. The pickles represented summer's bounty preserved for winter celebration. A properly made batch would last years, the flavors deepening over time. Opening a jar released summer sunshine into December darkness. Modern refrigerator pickles are faster, but lack the complex flavors that only time and proper canning could create. Wassail. The wassail bowl was a community affair, carried from house to house on Christmas Eve, steam rising from the spiced depths. This wasn't casual mulled cider, but a ceremony with roots in Saxon England. The base varied by region: hard cider in apple country, ale where hops grew, sometimes both mixed together. The spicing was generous: cinnamon sticks, whole cloves, star anise, cardamom pods, all simmered until the house smelled like Christmas. Oranges studded with cloves floated on top, while roasted apples burst their skins, releasing sweetness into the brew. Some recipes included eggs beaten with cream, added just before serving to create a frothy top. The bowl itself was special, ceramic or wood, often decorated, passed down through families. Wassailing meant going door to door, singing and sharing the warm drink. The tradition included toasting fruit trees to ensure next year's harvest. Every sip connected drinkers to centuries of celebration. In American colonies, wassail evolved with available ingredients, adding rum or brandy, using maple syrup for sweetening. The drink required constant tending, kept warm, but never boiling. Making wassail was the host's honor, the recipe often secret. By the 1960s, the tradition faded, replaced by simple hot cider. Today's instant wassail mixes capture none of the ceremony and community the original represented. Thanks for joining us on this trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed exploring these 25 forgotten Christmas recipes, give it a like and share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe.